It's worth the drive, they said. 7 hours from the bay, 5 from LA if you don't hit traffic. All to reach the so-called crown jewel of Californian skiing. And sure, on Instagram, Mammoth looks like heaven. But the moment you actually get there, something feels off. The air is thinner, sure, but so is the vibe. The energy isn't alpine. It's Hollywood on vacation. You were promised a mountain town. What you got was LA, just colder and windier. It's a vibe, alright, just not the one you'd drive half a day for. Don't believe me? Well, here it is. A hater's guide to Mammoth. As someone from Northern California, Mammoth has always been on my radar. It was the mythical other mountain that everyone always talked about. If you didn't know, getting there from the Bay Area isn't exactly straightforward. You can't just cut through Yosemite in the winter because the pass is closed, so you're stuck driving up to Tahoe first. That first leg is certainly no picnic. That's about 4 hours to Tahoe, then another 3 heading south to reach Mammoth. It's just inconvenient enough that, despite living in NorCal for over a decade, I never made the trip. But this season, after years of hearing nothing but good things, I finally pulled the trigger and checked it out. I expected Mammoth to have that tight-knit mountain community you'd expect from such a beloved destination, but no, it just felt like LA 2.0. In fact, I can confidently say that Mammoth Mountain has one of the strangest atmospheres I've ever experienced at a ski resort, and it shifts depending on where you were on the mountain. The higher you go, aside from the summit itself, it starts to feel more like Kirkwood. Quiet, rugged, people actually skiing. But the closer you get to the base, the more it starts to resemble Skid Row with the amount of fatalities you'll witness. But before I get any further into the on-mountain experience, I have to talk about the absolute catastrophe that is this trail map. Seriously, what the hell is this? How do you forget to put lines on a trail map? That's like good design 101. This trail map is single-handedly the reason why nobody understands how to actually get to Huevos Grande and Star Chute. And with how much terrain is completely missing from the map, I literally had to use a third-party site just to figure out where the good stuff even is. And while we're on the topic of things that make zero sense, let's talk about lifts. Over the past few years, Mammoth has been rolling out a lineup of shiny new D-line lifts, supposedly to help cut down on lines. But, despite all the upgrades, the only thing truly Mammoth about the mountain is still the lift lines. Meanwhile, just down the road, June Mountain is still running a detachable from a company that literally went out of business because its lift freaking killed people. One resort gets the future, a future that changes absolutely nothing. The other? Well, it gets a liability waiver. Classic Alterra priorities. And what's the point of all these new lifts when 99% of the time they're down for windhold anyway? Nothing says premium resort experience like watching a 6-pack D-line spin empty while you're desperately refreshing the app to see if anything other than Share 11 is running. You know, all this talk of wind and lift lines has got me thinking. Diabolical winds? Check. Multiple disconnected base areas? Check. Horrible to get around? Check. Super lame mid and lower mountain terrain? Check. Only decent terrain in the high alpine? Check. Parking that feels more like the Hunger Games? Check. Absolutely abysmal lift lines and choke points? Oh yeah, big check. You know what? Mammoth might just be California's Breckenridge, and you longtime viewers already know exactly how we here at SRG Skiing feel about Breck. I mean, the Mill and Main Lodge easily give Peak 9 and Peak 8 a run for their money. And to top it off, the village gondolas on both mountains are excellent ways to spend 10 minutes realizing you're still multiple lift lines away from any good skiing. And just when you think the comparison ends there, nope, Mammoth somehow manages to add problems that even Breckenridge never had. Doesn't matter how high your summit sits, you can't escape the fact that you're still a California mountain. Yep, the snow here is the same old Sierra cement crap you'll find all over Tahoe, just repackaged with more wind and a longer drive. But here's the thing, Mammoth isn't all bad. The mountain is known for its spring skiing experience, and to be fair, the snow preservation is really good. It's so good, in fact, that I'm genuinely confused as to why I'll close 50% of the mountain by that time. The backside and Cloud 9 have plenty of snow to stay open well into May, but nope, instead of letting people enjoy the terrain they paid for, you shut it all down early like you're rationing turns. And let's be real, it's not because of the conditions. It's because you don't want to pay your employees to keep it running. God forbid Ski Patrol or Lifties get a few extra hours on the clock so your pass holders can actually enjoy the terrain you advertise. Hell, this isn't just a spring problem, it's happening during the course season too. It's not negligence, it's policy. And honestly, Alterra should be ashamed. And while we're on the subject of spring, whose idea was it to turn dropout chutes into a DIY avalanche lap? Upon visiting Mammoth for the first time this spring, I found that there's this bizarre tradition where people intentionally slide down Chair 23's terrain and try to trigger wet slides. For fun. I don't know, man. That just feels straight up distasteful, especially considering a patroller was literally killed by an inbound slide on Avi 2 just a few months earlier. How do you lose someone to a slide in February and then turn around and treat triggering one in May like it's part of the closing day festivities? I'm not even mad, I'm just disappointed. You know the other big city close to Mammoth? Las Vegas. And to be completely honest, Mammoth often feels like an extension of a Vegas show. Or a Vegas showgirl. On first impression, she's tall, dazzling, and has an air of intrigue that can draw even the most diehard of Tahoe skiers. But after you spend a little time, you realize she's high maintenance and somehow always convinces you to spend a small fortune for the performance of smoke, mirrors, and wind closures. So there you go. Mammoth is the love child of Las Vegas and LA, with a little bit of Sierra Nar to ever so slightly offset the suck. It's a world-class mountain with the soul of Tahoe stuck in the body of LA. All my love, I'm out.